people are finishing up their writing down their charts, does anyone want to tell me what they put or what a republic is? Go ahead.
What a republic is when citizens choose who they want in office, and it's most of the time known usually as a president.
Yeah. And what Adam?
I was gonna say something relatively on the same page as him. I was gonna say a government or a country governing style of electing leaders to lead them.
Yeah, really good. Did you have anything to add, or was it pretty much the same thing? Yeah. Anyone else have anything different they wanted to add? No? Okay, so as you guys probably saw, this chapter is the beginning of the Roman Empire. So how do you think a republic differs from an empire? Anyone? Go ahead.
An empire is a little bit more like a dictatorship, except there could be more than one leader. And a republic. A republic is more of a thing where the people lead.
Can I see a hand over here for how it differs from an empire? No? Anyone else? Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that one. A republic is, like we said, governed by elected officials, whereas an empire, it's more of a singular, solitary authority, and there's just less, how do I say, common people involved in government. And as you can see, it's where the Roman Republic is headed. We'll come back to the chart, I promise.
No.
Big power still? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. And so, the later years of the Roman Republic were pretty much scarred and marred by lots of different warfares. And war was pretty popular in the later years of the Roman Republic just because government was headed by the senators, the Roman Senate, if y'all remember from last chapter. And also generals were able to gain a lot of political influence around this time. Can anyone think of like why generals would have so much political influence? Anyone?
Wait, what was the question again?
You know.
So nice.
Go ahead.
Why I did that.
Like, the generals would be in the military, right?
Yeah.
So they have to like know the people that run the country.
Yeah, so they have political connections, they have a lot of connections. What about like, what can you do with an army? I mean, these generals can control, you can fight and you can control. So you're trying with your army to take massive amounts of land, and with land around this time comes a lot of money, and with money comes power. So these generals were able to use their armies, and at this time, generals had their own separate armies. So it wasn't like the greater Roman army, it was, for example, Julius Caesar's army. And so these soldiers were likely more loyal to their general than they were to the republic. So this just created a bunch of internal problems politically, and eventually the Roman Republic just kind of descended into chaos because nobody was really there to head government. Everyone was just kind of out fighting, trying to gain more territory, trying to gain more land, money, and power. And this made a lot of people really get happy. I mean, imagine if your government just kind of said, oh, we don't care about governing anymore, and we're just gonna go fight off a bunch of different wars that, to you, as common people, don't really mean anything. So this made a lot of people really unhappy, and so people started to speak out. One of the people that spoke out was this guy named Cicero, and Cicero was a orator, which just means public speaker, and a philosopher, and he wanted to limit the power of generals and restore checks and balances on the government. So he didn't think that the generals should be involved in such big political decisions, that kind of stuff. He wasn't about it. But despite how unhappy people were, change never came, and Cicero was unsuccessful at convincing people to limit generals and restore checks and balances. Go ahead. Yeah.
So is it any good for Roman Empire that they just started like attacking
Get more land and stuff or no?
Well, I mean, there's pros and cons, you know, I mean, pros, you get, like I've said, land, money, power, resources, new people to govern, but at the same time, you're also bringing in a bunch of different problems into your empire, such as, different cultures, problems, just different problems, different uprisings, so I wouldn't say if it was good or bad, I think it pros and cons of both. We'll see. Okay, so I said we we're gonna go back to that chart. So for that chart, I was gonna have you guys flip to page 245, seems like some of y'all are already there, or 345, sorry. Go to page 345, and then, work, you guys can work in like a small group, like two or three people, to fill out that chart with a bullet or two in each section. And, does that make sense?
Do they have to be sitting beside you?
No, it's not. You can move if you want.
We got this. Wait, what are we supposed to do? Ma'am.
So you know that chart I had you guys, write down? You'll find the answers, to fill in that chart on page 345. So you can work with 2 or 3 other people to fill in that chart. There should be about 1 or 2 bullet points under each section.
You scooch your head.
Go this way.
1 or 2, sorry, I misspoke. 1 or 2
Scoot your dick.
sections.
Close.
In the chart we talked about, I think there should be about 1 or 2 bullet points for each section of the chart. Yeah, so for example,
We got this again.
so give examples of how Julius Caesar was a good public speaker, a good alliance builder, and a good military leader. So there should be, I think there's 1 or 2 examples on page 345 of all 3 of those. So just in your chart, fill out what those qualities were, like what he did, and how he showed these qualities.
No, you don't. No. Wait, so it's about like how he was a good.
Yeah, so you're gonna give an example for all 3. So an example of how he was a good public speaker, an example of how he was an alliance builder, an example of how he was a military leader.
How Caesar was?
How Caesar was, how Julius Caesar showed these qualities of a leader.
Cicero.
Wait, it's not Cicero, it's Caesar, right?
Yeah, we're talking about leadership qualities of Caesar.
So
Cicero.
it's not on 244.
No, not on
Only
244.
244.
Yeah, so there should be a section that says Caesar's rise to power,
Caesar's
and it should be in those 2 little sections right there.
name right here?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can also title leadership qualities of Julius Caesar. I know I wrote that kind of small. I'm sorry.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm sorry I wrote it kind of small.
I get your home.
Where's that?
Read the whole thing, money.
Can you just hold a minute?
Yeah, just one is fine.
What is it?
Obviously, it's but one.
It don't say all that.
That's not what I put. I put he wanted me to support him for his speeches.
I put that to that on explain. But that's all I see.